This is music, and this is all about blind buying. This video is an entry into No Solutions contest. It's a kind of a blind buying contest. So the entire idea is basically that you make a video or just a comment on his announcement video talking about one or more experiences of blind buying some stuff. You know, your successes, maybe some of the times you got burned. No Solution is a channel here on YouTube. It's a music collecting channel. And he does a lot of videos on the blind buying. He does these cool videos where he follows up on some items that he has blind bought, and then he discusses these items, you know, the pros and cons. Should he keep them? Should he get rid of them? And I think that's very interesting. I can relate to that 100% because, as my viewers will know, I do lots of blind buys myself. I enjoy exploring music in this admittedly very, very old school fashion. So the stipulations in this contest are very simple. Make a video talking about blind buying, some experiences, and then you have to reside in the United States. And this will disqualify me already because I don't live in the United States. But I figured that I would make an entry anyways because obviously I like blind buying. It's a topic that interests me a lot. And if I make it into the draw, and if I'm lucky enough to win, I will just donate the prize. The prize is a massive box of CDs, and shipping is very expensive. So that's why there's this stipulation that you have to reside in the United States, which makes a whole lot of sense to me. But if I make it into the draw and I'm lucky enough to win, I will just donate the prize to someone that resides in the United States, so it can be shipped directly from No Solutions whereabouts to, you know, whoever I donated to. I hope that's a solution. Okay, anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 9 items which are linked to some success stories of blind buying, and then I will talk about some times where I kind of got burned as well. I have 3 cassette tapes, 3 CDs, and 3 vinyl, because those are the 3 formats that I collect. So starting out with the cassette tapes, the first one is this one here, In Grief's Echoes of Doom, kind of an EP, which I think I just bought it online somewhere. All I knew was that it was doom metal, and I was floored when I listened to this. This is from 2020, you know, something, 21, 22 perhaps, don't remember, but maybe even the late 2010s. I honestly can't remember, but it's very recent. But this sounds like it could be something that was made in the 90s. It's death doom, and to be honest, it sounds like Paradise Lost from the 90s, done better than Paradise Lost themselves would do it. This is amazing. I was floored when I heard this. So this is certainly a massive success story. The next one is Live by the Swords, Exploring Soldiers Rise. And this one was very interesting. I bought it from Cosmic Key Creations, I think. And it's a band that actually features, as far as I know, the owner of Cosmic Key Creations. And I had no idea what to expect. I mean, Live by the Sword, it looks maybe like it could be some kind of black metal, or maybe some maybe darker power metal or something like that, but this is very, very original. It's super interesting. It's a blend of traditional heavy metal, hard rock, and punk rock, and it's just a very interesting musical journey. There's even, I don't know if it's just me starting to imagine things, there's even to me kind of a slight kind of rockabilly feel to some of this. I don't know if it's just me imagining things, to be honest, but it's a super interesting release with some excellent, quite original music that kind of blends these different genres, and it all just comes together in a very interesting and I would say top quality style of music. So this is a success story as well. The next one, Wow Wow Cyclone. This is one I picked up in the wild in one of my favorite record stores here in Copenhagen, Mephisto Records. I have this kind of routine when I go to Mephisto. I start out by checking out their cassette tape section, and that includes their demo tapes, and then I look at the vinyl, and then if I'm not exhausted at that point, I will check out the CDs. So yeah, I just saw this one sitting somewhere on the bottom of the cassette shell, and I knew that Wow Wow, that they were kind of the version 2 of a Japanese band called Bow Wow, but that's all I knew, and I hadn't heard Bow Wow either at that point, and I hadn't heard this one. So I decided to just pick it up. It was very cheap, and this was another album that floored me when I listened to it. It's a good mix of AOR, ranging from that to traditional heavy metal, maybe with some tiny speed metal every now and then, not a lot of it, but it's high quality music, fantastic musicianship, great songs. So I was really happy that I grabbed this one here, and I ended up buying it on vinyl as well a couple of months later because I like it so much. So this is a success story too. Okay, moving on to the CDs. Up first, Programmed by Lethal, kind of progressive power metal, I would say. This is one I bought the first time I was ever in London, back in school, way back when. Obviously we had to do lots of kind of school things, go to some museums, all that educational stuff, but we also had some free time, and there were kind of like a couple of us, like 3 or 4 people in my class that were into metal music and things like that. So we decided to go to HMV and some other record stores, and I don't remember which one, but in one of the record stores I just flipped through the CD section, and I saw this one, and I thought that one looks kind of interesting. I don't know if you can see it, but there's this kind of human hand writing Programmed, and then there's a robotic hand as well, and I thought that's kind of interesting. It looks interesting, and there was probably a discount on it as well. So I decided to just buy it, and this is amazing if you like your progressive power metal with very, very high register, soaring vocal, not King Diamond stuff, but at a high register, soaring vocals, not odd time signatures, but still interesting rhythmic patterns, and just amazing musicianship. If you like that kind of stuff, this should be your cup of tea. It's probably this band, without me kind of knowing back then, might be this band that kind of started my journey into really digging progressive metal. So yeah, really glad I picked that one up too. Up next, some Mortar Skuld, death metal, and this is Dying Remains, but it also includes As Humanity Fades. So it's one of those kind of two-fers that you could buy a lot of back in the I guess the early 2000s and even early 2010s. This is one I just picked up at a whim in a store in Copenhagen called Fona 2000s. They went out of business a long time ago, but they had a cool kind of like an entire corner of the first floor or second floor, depending on whether you were like US English or British English speaker. But they had an entire corner kind of just dedicated to metal music, and they had lots of crazy discounts. Sometimes you could buy a CD like 5 Danish kroner, which is virtually free, 10 Danish kroner, 20, 50, very cheap. And this was one of those like bargain bin things, and I just grabbed it because it looks kind of evil. I kind of liked the logo, and I seem to remember somebody telling me at some point that this was a death metal band. So I picked it up, and this is very, very solid death metal. It's not original or anything like that, but it's just super solid death metal. If you just like, you know, classic death metal, 90s style death metal, this might be something that you're interested in. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea because it's not super innovative, but I really enjoy both of the albums on here. So I'm glad I just picked this one up in the bargain bin at Fona 2000. And this is a very similar story. Vigilante, Edge of Time. Same shop, probably not the same time I went there, but it's from the same store. From there was probably, yeah, actually I remember picking this one up in the super bargain bin. So this was probably a 5 Danish kroner, maybe 10 Danish kroner thing. Japanese progressive metal along the lines of I would say Fate's Warning. If they did an album, which they actually did, between No Exit and Parallels, which they did, Perfect Symmetry. So it's kind of along the lines of Perfect Symmetry, with kind of a Deep Purple feel every now and then, an Iron Maiden feel, a bit of Dream Theater influence as well, some Queensryche. So all sort of the big progressive metal bands and progressively leaning metal and hard rock bands. And this one, along with Maximum the Hormone, is what set me off on really enjoying Japanese metal. This is great progressive metal. If you come across it somewhere and you're a progressive metal fan, I suggest just grab it. If you don't like it, pass it on. Okay, up next, the vinyl. Staying in Japan, Metal Lucifer's Heavy Metal Bulldozer. I bought this one online somewhere, don't remember where. And I just picked it up because I love this photo on the cover here. And this turns out this is just a Japanese guy who's a music collector who loves metal music. I think his name is it Neil Tanaka, I think. And he's not in the band, but he's on all their albums. So I just love this photo, and so I decided to pick it up. And this is so heavy metal that it almost hurts in a good way, he said, sounding like a kinky freak. All the songs have heavy metal in the title. They're super catchy. There's a very considerable influence from the new wave of British heavy metal. And the title track is just amazing. It's so catchy, and I just love singing along to the chorus. If you are into true metal and all that stuff, check this one out. It's so metal that it doesn't get any more metal, and I absolutely love it. The next one here is another one I bought online, Reckless. And I bought it because I thought the cover art was kind of creepy and disturbing, so I got curious. This turns out to be fantastic, very early 80s hard rock and metal. In a way, it's kind of ahead of its time because some of the songs sound like they're kind of mid 80s, but it's from the early 80s. I think later the band would resurface as kind of a glam metal band without this lady. She's the vocalist here. But this is fantastic. Just if you like hard rock and if you like female fronted hard rock, this is worth checking out. And I still find the cover artwork very creepy though. The next one, of course I have to show this one. I bought it because I was intrigued by the uber cheesy cover art here. It's just so far out. It's more 80s than the 80s ever were, although this is from the 80s. It was very cheap. I couldn't resist the temptation. I wanted to check out what this was, and turns out that it's good fun. Not super high quality or anything like that, but it's good fun party metal, glam metal a bit too. Great guitar and drum work for sure. The musicianship is actually pretty, shall we say, inspirational and admirable. The lyrics are dumb and fun. The music, catchy, melodic, metal, dumb fun. I really enjoy this one, so I'm happy I picked this one up too. So there you go, 9 success stories. I also got burned a couple of times. It doesn't happen very often. I guess I'm lucky that there's typically something that I really enjoy about the albums I blind buy. But I did pick up an EP by a band called I think it was Ideologies Embodied. It was brutal death metal, and the riffs were actually pretty cool, but the drums were programmed drums, and they kind of went overboard with super fast blast beats and stuff like that. So it was just ended up being too mechanical, the drums. They were not compelling to me. And the vocals were also kind of your typical brutal death metal vocals. So although there were some things I liked about this EP, I figured there's no point in me holding on to it because I'm not gonna listen to it. So I passed that one on. I also another story is I picked up recently Georgia Satellite's album, and also picked up a Full House album. So both of these bands are kind of hard rock bands with kind of southern rock leanings, and the music was actually not bad, but overall the two albums were a bit more towards the softer side of things than the hard rocking side of things. So more, they were actually, both of them to me are more like classic rock, and I don't have a problem with classic rock at all, but I knew I wouldn't listen to them a whole lot, so I ended up giving both of them to my dad. So because I know he likes classic rock a lot, so I figured I'll give them to him, and he will probably enjoy it more than I did. So he ended up with those two albums. And I also picked up an album called, I think it was called Rock and Roll Souls. I don't remember what the artist is called actually, but I'll add it in text somewhere. A hard rock album, and as a lot of you know, I have a soft spot for hard rock, a melodic hard rock, and AOR and 80s hard rock. I really love that stuff. And this was, I think, late 80s hard rock, but it was just too, it was a bit too limpy for me. We have this expression in Danish. It means it's gumpetung, which means that you have kind of a heavy butt. It means you kind of limp along, you know what I mean? And it had that kind of feel, and the lyrics were also a bit dumb, I have to say. So I knew just upon listening to it once that I would not enjoy it. So I ended up trading it in at a record store for something else that I knew I would enjoy. Another story which I did kind of document in one of my first impressions videos is I bought a CD. It was very cheap, by a band called Ninja, and it was, some of the songs were good. There were some very good guitar solos on, but there were some terrible ballads. There was some kind of, it almost seemed like third-rate Saxon wannabe stuff, and the lyrics just were, I just found the lyrics to be extremely bad and not engaging at all. So I was very disappointed. That album was probably the biggest disappointment, simply because with a name like Ninja, you get your expectations up, right? Yeah, I did not like that one at all. Traded it in a record store as well. And yeah, so my policy is, and it's become my policy over the last couple of years, is that if I pick something up that I don't like, there's no point in me sitting on it, when I know I don't like it, I don't enjoy it, and there's probably someone out there who will enjoy it. So I trade it in record stores if I don't know anyone who will enjoy it, or I VCLT it out to another VC member if I suspect it's somewhere up their alley, or if I know somebody, you know, in my kind of like personal sphere of friends and family that will like it, I'll pass it on to them. So yeah, this was my entry. This actually ended up being kind of a long video, but I like, as some of you know, I really enjoy doing blind buys, so I can talk about doing blind buys for a long time, but we better stop it here. Do check out No Solutions channel, and if you have good or bad blind buy stories and you reside in the United States, why not make an entry into his contest, because you can win a good stack of CDs. So there you go. Thanks for watching.